places that aren't understood right away. They ask you to stop, stay quiet, and truly be present. These are landscapes where the earth seems to work with intention, shaping forms that suggest balance rather than chance. Moving through them is not just about going from one point to another. It's about learning to look patiently, to walk without hurry, and to understand that the planet moves at rhythms that don't follow our clock. This journey proposes exactly that. Moving slowly and observing carefully some of the most surprising landscapes in the world. Position 12. Bryce Canyon, United States. In the state of Utah, Bryce Canyon opens like a natural corridor, where rock takes on almost theatrical shapes. On both sides of the valley rise columns of reddish stone, known as hoodoos, reaching several meters in height and appearing as if they were placed one by one. These formations were created through a slow process of erosion caused by water, ice, and wind, acting over millions of years on layers of soft and hard sediment. Walking through Bryce Canyon means moving through a constantly changing landscape. In the early morning light, the red tones soften and shift toward orange and gold. As the day progresses, shadows sharpen every contour, making the terrain feel almost alive. It's not a place of large crowds, which allows for calm and respectful exploration. The experience here is not just about looking, but about pausing, observing how nature repeats patterns without ever copying one exactly. Bryce Canyon reminds us that even the quietest landscapes are full of history, and that patience is often the most powerful creative force on the planet. Position 11. Marble Caves. In southern Chile, on the waters of Lake General Carrera, stone and water maintain a constant dialogue. The marble caves are tunnels and chambers slowly carved into limestone by the movement of the lake. The result is a collection of smooth, curved forms that seem designed from the inside outward. Exploring this place involves traveling in small, authorized boats, carefully navigating through cavities polished by centuries of waves. Light plays a fundamental role. When sunlight passes through the turquoise water, the cave interiors fill with shifting reflections of blue, green, and silver that change from minute to minute. More than a fixed landscape, the marble caves are a changing experience. No visit is ever the same. Water levels, sunlight, and weather completely transform the surroundings. This place shows that exploration doesn't always require great heights or vast distances, but attention to detail and respect for natural processes that are still active today. Position 10. Giant's Causeway. On the coast of Northern Ireland, the Giant's Causeway stretches like a geometric mosaic beside the sea. More than 40,000 basalt columns, most of them hexagonal, fit together to form a remarkably regular surface. This phenomenon originated around 60 million years ago when volcanic lava cooled evenly. Walking across these columns is both a tactile and visual experience. Each step reveals small variations in height and shape, reminding us that even when patterns repeat, nature never produces exact copies. The sound of the sea and the wind reinforces the feeling of being in a place where geology and the coastal landscape meet without transition. The Giant's Causeway also exists between science and local tradition, adding a cultural layer to the visit. It's a clear example of how a natural process can create a space that feels planned. Exploring this place invites reflection on how the planet constantly combines order and spontaneity. Position 9. Carlsbad Caverns. Beneath the desert of New Mexico lies Carlsbad Caverns, an underground complex made up of more than 100 interconnected caves. As you descend, the exterior landscape disappears and the environment changes completely. The temperature remains stable and silence dominates the space. The caverns are filled with stalactites and stalagmites that grew drop by drop over thousands of years. Some chambers are so vast that their scale is difficult to grasp. The established paths allow visitors to move safely, with lighting kept to a minimum to preserve the environment. Exploring Carlsbad Caverns is a lesson in slow time. There are no straight lines or obvious symmetry, only patient accumulation. Each formation tells a story of minerals, water, and gravity. This place reminds us that much of the planet's beauty is hidden from view, and that exploration also means descending, observing, and respecting unseen spaces. Position 8. Antelope Canyon. In the Arizona desert, Antelope Canyon appears as a narrow corridor of stone shaped by water. Its smooth, undulating walls in reddish tones show how a gentle force, repeated over centuries, can transform solid rock. The visit is always conducted with authorized guides, ensuring a safe and respectful experience. At certain times of day, sunlight enters through openings above, creating beams of light that reach the ground and shift the canyon's colors from moment to moment. Rather than a place to move through quickly, Antelope Canyon invites slow movement. Each curve offers a different composition. The experience isn't only about seeing, but about feeling how light, sand, and silence interact. It's a perfect example of how mindful exploration allows us to appreciate natural processes still at work. Position 7. Cappadocia. Cappadocia is a landscape where geology and human history overlap naturally. The fairy chimneys, formed in volcanic tuff, emerged after ancient eruptions and were shaped by erosion. Their conical forms dominate wide, quiet valleys. Below the surface, the region hides cities carved into the rock, used for centuries as shelters. These structures show how people learned to adapt to their environment without completely transforming it. Today, exploration also extends into the air, with hot air balloons offering a broad, unhurried view of the terrain. Cappadocia doesn't impose itself, it reveals itself gradually. Each path, viewpoint, and level of ground offers a different reading of the landscape. It's a place that shows how Earth and humanity can share space in balance. On a beach along New Zealand's east coast, the Moeraki boulders rest on the sand like spheres placed with intention. These rocks, some over 2 meters in diameter, formed millions of years ago through the gradual accumulation of minerals around a core. The setting is open and simple, which makes the shapes stand out even more. At low tide, reflections of the sky and water create an almost mirrored effect around the stones. There are no complex roots or major structures, just space to observe calmly. This place shows that not all landscapes impress through size or height. Sometimes the repetition of an unexpected form is enough to spark curiosity and reflection. The Moeraki boulders invite a slow exploration, guided by the rhythm of the sea. Position 5. Vitkur. On Iceland's northern coast, Vitkur rises from the sea as a recognizable yet ever-changing figure. Access follows marked paths, and at low tide, it's possible to safely approach its base. The contrast between dark sand, ocean, and open sky enhances the feeling of isolation and space. Vitkur isn't an isolated point, but part of a broader coastal landscape where nature is still actively at work. The experience here is about observing how the elements continue to shape the rock. It's a reminder that even the most iconic forms are constantly changing. Position 4. Tsingy de Bemaraha. The Tsingy de Bemaraha is one of Madagascar's most unusual landscapes. It's an extensive field of limestone spikes rising up to 70 meters, forming a natural labyrinth. The terrain is so irregular that it can only be crossed using designated walkways and bridges. This ecosystem shelters unique species that found refuge among the crevices. From within, every step requires attention and respect. Exploring the Tsingy is not just physical, but observational. The place shows how extreme geology can create spaces of great diversity. It's a clear example of why responsible exploration is essential to preserving unique landscapes. Position 3. Zhangjiajie National Forest Park. In China's Hunan province, Zhangjiajie is defined by thousands of stone pillars rising from the vegetation. Some reach over 200 meters in height and were formed through prolonged erosion of sandstone and quartz. Frequent mist transforms the scenery, making the towers appear to float. Trails, viewpoints, and bridges allow for safe exploration and offer multiple perspectives of the terrain. Zhangjiajie shows how scale can redefine perception. Observing these formations makes it clear that landscapes are not static. Exploring this place means understanding how time, moisture, and gravity work together to create scenes beyond everyday reference. Position 2. Uluru. Uluru rises from Central Australia as an absolute point of reference in the desert. This monolith, over 340 meters tall, changes color throughout the day, shifting through a wide range of warm tones. For the Anangu people, Uluru holds deep cultural and spiritual significance. For this reason, visits follow clear rules that prioritize respect and preservation. Beyond its size, Uluru impresses through presence. It doesn't dominate by contrast, but by coherence. Exploring its surroundings shows how a single element can structure an entire territory. It's a reminder that some landscapes don't need complexity to be powerful. Position 1. Pamukkale. Pamukkale looks like a waterfall frozen in time. Its wide terraces, formed by calcium deposits from thermal waters, descend gently down the hillside. The mineral-rich water continues to flow today, just as it has for centuries. Walking through Pamukkale is a sensory experience. The contrast between the white terraces and open sky creates a calm atmosphere. Access is regulated to protect the site, allowing safe and controlled exploration. This place shows how patience can create delicate beauty. Pamukkale doesn't impress through force, but through balance. It's a work constantly in progress, reminding us that water, given time, can shape landscapes as precise as any human design. Position: Salar de Uyuni. On the Bolivian Altiplano lies a place where the horizon seems to disappear. Salar de Uyuni, covering more than 10,000 square kilometers, is the largest salt flat on the planet. At first glance, the landscape seems simple, a flat, white, silent surface. But staying just a few minutes reveals something deeper. During the rainy season, a thin layer of water turns the salt flat into a perfect mirror. The sky reflects so clearly that it becomes hard to tell where land ends and air begins. Walking here feels strange, like moving inside an image without depth. Silence is a key part of the experience. There are no trees, buildings, or nearby reference points. Everything encourages slowing down and observing. Even footsteps feel softer on the firm, pale surface. As light changes, so does the landscape. White turns silver, then blue, and at sunset shifts into gentle, warm tones. Exploring Salar de Uyuni is not something to rush. It's an exercise in patience and contemplation, a place that impresses not through complexity, but through scale. Here, nature shows that sometimes the most powerful impact comes from absolute simplicity. Position: Jiuzhaigou Valley. In China's Sichuan province lies Jiuzhaigou Valley, a place where water is the main character. The landscape is made up of stepped lakes, gentle waterfalls, and forests that change color with the seasons. Each section of the path invites you to pause. What stands out most are the clear lakes, where the bottom is visible in full detail. Logs, stones, and roots remain suspended beneath the surface, creating a calm sense of depth. Colors shift between green, blue, and turquoise, depending on light and minerals. Wooden walkways guide visitors without disturbing the environment. This isn't a place to move quickly, but to observe water flowing slowly from one level to the next. The constant sound of currents accompanies the entire route, reinforcing the feeling of calm. Jiuzhaigou is an example of natural balance. No single point dominates, the value lies in the full sequence. Exploring this valley shows that beauty can be orderly, gentle, and consistent. A reminder that nature doesn't always need drama to leave a mark. Position: Wadi Rum. In southern Jordan, Wadi Rum stretches out as a desert of rock and sand, where time seems to move differently. Massive sandstone formations rise from red ground, creating natural corridors, arches, and walls that change color throughout the day. In the morning, the landscape feels clear and open. As the sun rises, shadows lengthen and reveal hidden textures in the rock. At sunset, everything turns warm, shifting from orange to deep red, transforming the scene without any movement. Exploring Wadi Rum means moving calmly, following authorized routes, and respecting the vastness of the place. The space invites silence and observation. There are no distractions, only sky, stone, and distance. That simplicity gives importance to every detail. Wadi Rum doesn't impress through excess, but through balance. It's a landscape that conveys stability and openness, where the experience depends not on action, but on presence. A place that reminds us that sometimes traveling also means standing still and looking. Plitvice Lakes National Park. Plitvice Lakes is not a place you rush through. It's a landscape that asks you to slow down almost immediately. The park is made up of a chain of lakes arranged in gentle steps, connected by waterfalls that never seem in a hurry. Water flows from one level to the next, clear and constant, quietly shaping the land over time. What makes Plitvice special is the color of the water. Depending on the light, it shifts between deep green, pale turquoise, and soft blue. The changes are subtle, but noticeable if you take the time to watch. Wooden walkways float just above the surface, guiding visitors across the lakes without breaking the sense of calm. There is no single viewpoint that defines the park. Instead, the experience comes from movement. Each turn reveals a slightly different scene: a narrow cascade, a wide pool, a reflection that lasts only a moment. The sound of water follows you everywhere, creating a steady rhythm that replaces any sense of urgency. Plitvice feels alive, not dramatic. It's a reminder that nature doesn't need sharp edges or extreme heights to leave an impression. Sometimes beauty comes from continuity. Water feeding water, lake supporting lake, all connected by time and patience. Lauterbrunnen Valley. Lauterbrunnen Valley is a place where vertical space defines everything. Sheer cliffs rise straight from the valley floor, and from their edges, dozens of waterfalls fall freely into open air. Some are thin and quiet, others stronger and more visible, but all feel like natural extensions of the rock itself. The village below moves at a different pace. Houses are scattered across green fields. Paths curve gently, and the sound of water never fully fades. Even when you're not looking at a waterfall, you can hear one nearby. That constant presence shapes the atmosphere, making the valley feel enclosed yet open at the same time. Walking through Lauterbrunnen doesn't feel like sightseeing. It feels more like passing through a space that already knows what it is. The cliffs don't compete, and the waterfalls don't demand attention. They simply exist, falling day after day, whether anyone is watching or not. As light changes throughout the day, shadows shift across the valley walls, and the scene quietly rearranges itself. Lauterbrunnen shows how scale and softness can coexist. It's a place that gently reminds you how small everyday concerns can feel in a landscape shaped by gravity and time. White Desert. The White Desert in Egypt feels almost unreal at first glance. Stretching across a quiet expanse near Farafra, the landscape is filled with chalk formations shaped by wind into smooth, rounded forms. Some resemble mushrooms, others animals or abstract sculptures, but none feel forced. They are the result of long, steady erosion. What stands out most is the color. The ground and rock are pale and bright, reflecting light in a way that softens everything around them. During the day, the desert feels open and still. At sunset, the white stone absorbs warm tones, turning cream, pink, and gold as the sky changes. There are no roads cutting through the scenery, no structures competing for attention. The emptiness is part of the experience. Movement slows naturally, conversations grow quieter, and even simple actions feel more deliberate. The White Desert isn't about distance or difficulty, it's about presence. Standing among these formations, it becomes clear that the land was shaped patiently, without interruption. It's a place that invites observation rather than exploration, and reflection rather than action. A reminder that landscapes don't need complexity to feel meaningful, just time, space, and silence.